All right, it's been a week. How y'all? Well, almost a week. Give or take minus the two. How are y'all sort of now doing with the Kendrick Lamar performance? Did some of y'all go back and watch it? Did some of y'all, write a whole, analysis? I was like the 3,000 word essay. Did y'all just would y'all just here for the music? Would y'all here for the performance, the whole thing? What's basically going on? I was like, I know it's been a couple of days, and I was like, I tried to not really see too many people's stuff on it, cause I wanted to sort of get my viewpoint on it. Kind of like, kind of like I've seen the chatter or whatever. I haven't really seen like the people, like enough of the people that's going through it and actually talking about the symbols and stuff like that, symbolic nature of it all or whatever. Cause I do think that this is sort of while yes, I was like, I guess it's divisive, but is any divisive than normal? Sort of, because it's like it isn't because I was like, especially these have music performances we've always gotten. I was like, trust me, once you sort of doing hip hop, it's going to be divisive. I was like, is it more divisive now? Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that everybody using keywords on it will be like, oh my god, it's very woke or very DI or whatever kind of thing you want, or just like, I don't want to see this kind of dribble on my TV, whatever it is. But then you also got it really where it's divisive, even from amongst just people who are just looking at it from the the performance halftime show aspect, which that's how you just looking at it. That's fine. You got to divide it from the people who's over here trying to analyze it. So I was like, to be honest, and to be honest, let's be honest. If this is not also really kind of the point of not just Kendall Lamar, because I was like, I think he does this a lot in his music and stuff like that, but the sort of root of art and really kind of like hip hop in of itself. I was like the genre of music, because the thing is, it can be interpreted in different ways. It is sort of supposed to be disruptive. It is sort of supposed to be like having you just like think like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Think about how you listen to music, and all of a sudden you'll hear like a verse or a bar or something like that, and you're just like, oh, he means this. But then somebody else might be like, oh no, that means that. So I think to be honest, it's like it's got everybody talking, and if that's not the main point, then I don't know what is. So I was like, let me rattle off some things off the top of. I'm just going to talk about it of itself. Now, the way when I was watching it, I think it was really good. I'm not going to be. I was like, I don't have enough knowledge or nothing like that to be like it's legendary. The performance was, but man, I was like, I'm not that type of person or whatever. I was like, I liked it. I was like, have I enjoyed other ones beforehand? Sure, cause like there was the one where they was over there in L.A. I was like, I liked that one a lot. I was like, there was the one. I was like, the Beyonce one was really good. I was like, the Bruno Mars was really good. So I was like, there's been times where it's like I was like, but this is sort of different, that sort of in the manner of. So it's like I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't. There was times I could not really hear him, and I was like, I know that, and I was like, so I was like, I don't know if that was like the performance of it being in this type of stadium, because I will say that I was like, this sort of thing, like instead of like hearing it like live, how you see like, oh, they're doing a live concert versus at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl sort of does this sometimes, where it's like, okay, I can't really hear it in this kind of stadium or whatever, no matter how much he's trying to give out his voice or whatever. And also too, since he's sort of rapping, I was like, while I understand you being clear, you also got to keep it basically like how you also are making it in the song. I was like, I was hoping. I was like that. I was like, there was. I thought there was also could have been some others. Like, I understand that he's doing the whole performance along with the artistic side as well too. But I was thinking, I was like, man, I was like, he could. I was like, there was also some kind of Mad Kid, Mad City song that he could have did as well. That I was like, I think also would have fit in what he was also talking about with the message as well. But I know at the same time, I'm like, hey, he just had his album, so he putting a lot of that in there. I was like, and he's sort of making it go with a whole script as well too. So I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I'm not gonna critique on like some of the stuff like where I'm just like, I was like, where I haven't. I'm like, oh, what song is that? What song is that? What song? And then by then the song's over. So I was like, I'm not one of those that's like, I'm like fluent on this. That's why I'm like, hey, this is just my regular opinion. I was like, there's other places to go where they could do a lot more stuff. So I was like, but I thought the music was fine. I thought everything was good. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, there's enough songs here that I was like, by now that I was like a good amount of people have known them. But to me, I was like, he's in the Super Bowl halftime show, and I was like, while there's a part of me that does sort of agree with some of the people that's like, hey, you're doing a performance, I shouldn't have to try to figure out what you're trying to say, or like it's like you got it's at a concert, like like you got a concert where it's like you play a lot of your popular songs, kind of stuff like that. I do understand that, because I was like, I do think that you are putting on a performance where you are hitting, or where you're doing music to where everybody. Problem is that everybody's not going to get it, because it's like the thing is that if you would have played Maroon 5, that's not going to be for everybody. If you did AC/DC, that ain't gonna be for everybody. So the thing is that you can only do so much for the amount of people that you're in. I was like, so when I hear people that saying stuff like that, it's like, yeah, sure, it's like, and it's like, cool. If you know Kendrick, then you probably also know like, oh, I would like some of these songs and things like that. Which I'm like, there's the difference between here and a concert. But at the same time, I was like, guess what? There's gonna be people that just ain't gonna know what's going on anyway. So kind of can't really care about that anyway. I was like, so far as some of the like his performance, I was like, I like this a lot more of just trying to figure out and seeing what he was going to do, because I was like, the songs are there. We know. I was like, you either know the songs, I know some of the songs, somebody else might know better songs and stuff like that. To where like you like, if once you sort of hear the song that he's playing, you don't. I was like, you could look at it like this and be like, oh snap, that's my song. So I'm over here just trying to be like, I'm like, what is he going to perform? What is he about to do out here and stuff like that? And so I was like, I did like this whole thing with Samuel L. Jackson being Uncle Sam and stuff like that. I was like, it's funny for a couple ways, and also have how he's acting as Uncle Sam as well. I like the fact that he was like over here, like the revolution will be televised. I was like, basically, it's the right time, but you got the wrong guy, because a lot of times too, that it's like, hey, it's like, what is the message here? And then nobody listens to the message. They just care about who's the person that's giving it. And it's like, yeah, but did you hear the message? No. And guess what? That's sort of kind of how his performance also was too. That it was like, oh, everybody's like, oh, boring, all this other thing. And like, if you don't like it, that's fine. If you don't like it, but the same thing is like, he is giving a message. And was you paying attention to the message, or was you over here to be like, oh man, Kendrick, he ain't the guy or whatever, and all this other stuff. So I was like, I did like Uncle Sam for basically throughout the performance, basically sort of dictating of Kendrick, of being like, hey, I was like, that's what I sort of liked. That's some good old music right there. And be like, whoa, where are you going, buddy? Where are you going? You're stepping over where you're gonna, and then get mad when he started basically waiting for the song. Yeah, I was like, I like that. I like the whole thing with the colors and the flag. I was like, obviously, I think the first thing that people might think of is like the whole gang stuff with that. But I was like, and I sort of did too. I looked at it like that, but I was like, they was all locking up in a way that I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I was like, I was also trying to be like, okay, what else is he trying to say with this? Because I was like, yeah, I can figure out the gang thing. They all locking up, basically trying to say like, I was like, I would think, cause I sort of thought that I was like, oh, that could have been like a Mad Kid, like Pyrus and Grips. Oh God, you get what I'm saying? So I was like, but no, but I did think he did. I was like, I did think he picked good spots for his DNA and his humble and stuff like that. And when he's singing it as well too, I was like the scary of like I was like the people in the flag. Cause I was like, I also looked at it as I'm like, oh, like even though. Yes, if you wanted to, you learn at the game, but I sort of also looked at it as too that it was like, oh, cool, everybody's unified, and then it's like, nope, everybody's all scattered, and they're all all in their own like yet color, all in their own groups of stuff. Where it's like sort of how we are. It was like whether it is by color, where it is by your own echo chamber, or what you believe in, or we're all sort of all in these sort of spots. Kind of like a little bit like high school, where everybody's sort of in like their own clique and nobody's really gelling together and stuff like that. So I was like, I like that. I was like going back to the beginning of the fact of I seen some. I was like, I'll talk about who sort of talk about this later, but I was like, I seen it as a tic-tac-toe thing or whatever. That's how I seen it at first. Of just trying to like, we all play the game tic-tac-toe. I was like, I don't feel like need to be said or whatever. I was like, I like sort of how I was like, it was sort of established of like the parameters of like, the 40 acres and a mule and all the other stuff are basically kind of like, this is bigger than that. Basically, to me, it's kind of like, that's where I was sort of like, okay, this is bigger than whatever it is that we're going to think that it is. Just because I was like, at this point, it was like, oh, that's the problem that was made to us. Yeah, this is sort of bigger than that. To me, where I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, okay, so whatever I was like, everything that he's sort of doing, which, I mean, you sort of get it from the beginning. I was like, you get it from the beginning. You don't throw the flag in there just nonchalantly as you're over here doing a whole bunch of music and stuff like that, especially the music that Kendrick does. But I was like, I think that's solidified where it's just like, it's like you can either incorporate it as like, this is for the culture, this is talking about American general. I was like, this is bigger than whatever you are at this moment, maybe are taking from it or are wanting from it. And the fact that I think he did it from basically one of his, like the biggest song, because I was like, I do think that I was like, with this, I was like, one I also like, I was like, I forget that, I was like, I will get to him in a minute, but I know I'm just rambling, but I was like, the fact that he did this basically before the song that everybody knows that pretty much propelled him to the spot. I was like, because of course he had like Squabble Up, and he also had the mustard part that everybody was waiting for. And while everybody's waiting for those things, I was like, everybody's sort of anticipating basically the big song. And I think saying it before that is basically sort of saying, like, on one hand, it's like, it's big, like, I know y'all are wanting this, but this is bigger than this song that y'all are wanting for all this. I think with that as well too, it's the whole thing of when he was first picked to be the Super Bowl guy, I was like, you sort of heard all the way up until this moment in time, like, is he gonna do the song? Is he gonna do the song? How is he gonna alternate? There's no way he's gonna be able to do it. He's gonna have to on some things and stuff like that. And I like the whole thing of like him teasing it a little bit, like after we got closer and closer to it, and then he'll like subvert, and then basically he's actually like about to do it. Uncle Sam's like, hey, no, and he does it anyway. And to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think he was going to actually do it. I thought it was going to be, and I was like, that, which proved the point. I thought it was going to be like the instrumental for it, and kind of like, since everybody waiting for the song, he could basically have let the music play, and then just like did like this, and everybody sung the song. But he went ahead and he did everything. I think the only part that he didn't get to was the file part, but he didn't need to because everybody said it. Then everybody said the A minor part, so he was able to close it out with basically the big song that got him here. That. Guess what? This is Drake. I was like, this is anybody who didn't think he should. And he also got his whole thing across, too, all at the end. Because it's like, guess what? If this is his last moment, who cares? I was like, you gonna go out with a bang anyway. So it's like, might as well, like, like, who gonna tell, like, to me, I'm like, if that moment is that nobody did this song, right? But say he's like, we're gonna still do it anyway. Which I don't think it would be possible. The NFL's a little, like, crunch down on like stuff like this, because we got to make sure that we behave with a lot of this stuff, and it's like we don't want things to be seen like how we had Shakira shaking her hips and Janet Jackson over here with a titty out, and I was like, and Beyonce, whatever she was doing with her knees, I was like, I did not like that. And that Bruno Mars black leather jacket, like whatever it was they want to, But I was like, but I'm just saying that if he wanted to, or when MIA flicked out the crowd or whatever, or I was like, yeah, stuck them. I think that might have, that was Shakira. That might have been with Madonna. Either way, but stuff like that. I'm just saying, if Kendrick wanted to go out like that, he could. Guess what? It's over. I was like, he'll probably be brought back. I think probably again. I wouldn't doubt it. But if he wasn't, who cares? He did on the biggest stage ever. So anyway, I was like, yeah, no. I was like, and I was like, look, there's a lot of stuff that's over that I'm not gonna lie, went over my head in that first like initial watching and things like that. That I was like, look, I was like, there's still things that I was like, people's over here doing videos, writing stuff about it. I was like, hey, I was like, in the coming week, there's going to be so many or whatever. It's only been a week, and I wouldn't doubt there's already a whole bunch anyway. I was like, some of the stuff, I did like, basically, I'm not going to do it here because that wasn't part of my initial process, but I will give credit to basically her name is Jessica Clemens over at New Rockstars. I was like, I think I really like her breakdown of it. That's like the only one I've been able to see right now. Just because I was like, she has fun with it, so I was like, I enjoy that. I will say I did like SZA's performance and her coming out. I was like, and the reason I say this because I was like, she not SZA, but she does the whole thing where like what the colors represent and what they mean with each other person and stuff like that, catching other stops or whatever. And I'm pretty sure they also got research people on all this stuff as well. And I will say Serena Williams crip walking, I also enjoy. If you out here sort of, I was like, I feel like the criticism necessarily. Like, yes, is she over here taking a shot at Drake? Yes. Is she? I was like, I've seen people online be like, well, her sibling, and I was like, okay, yeah, but I was like, that's also a dance. She ain't over here like repping the set or nothing like that. And she crip walked before in the tennis game and got really like killed for it. And the only thing I can say is that it's like, damn, I wish I would have learned how to do the dance or whatever, but I'm a little bit uncoordinated in that juncture. At this juncture of time with doing that. I sort of seen Stephen A criticize that as well, and I'm just kind of like, okay, you get your bald-headed ass up out of here with that. And then I knew it was going to come basically about like who she married to and why she's doing that, but I was like, that does not mean that she's not from there. That doesn't mean how she grew up and all this other stuff as well too. That's not taken away from any of that as well, or just because she's with this man over here. Now I was like, now in the totality of like the whole thing, I will say that I've seen videos where it's like, I've seen a couple people rocking with it. I've seen a lot of people where they're not rocking with it at the stadium. And I was like, I think you can have the video sort of play however you want to. I was like, because I was like, I seen like the video with Tiger, and I was like, oh, there's a couple people bobbing and stuff like that or whatever. And then I seen a couple other videos where it's like people were just kind of like just standing and just watching the concert. Then I seen another video where it was like, okay, cool, there's a whole group of people, and I was like, and to me, sometimes you can tell where it's like, okay, like, let's not escape what it is, where it's like, oh, okay, you got a whole bunch of black people dancing. I was like, we're gonna know a little bit more about Kendrick than other people, or whatever. You sort of do that with whatever genre you sort of get incorporated with. I was like, there were some white people dancing, there was some that wasn't. I was like, I don't think that you can say over here, like, necessarily, like, if you don't get the message, we know what kind of people you are. I was like, I don't think that's necessarily true, because we're not going to also act like Kendrick Lamar doesn't get the boost as well from that side as well, or like from the TikTok stuff that I was like, guess what, even if they don't, it might mean something to the culture over here. I was like, when it comes to over here, I was like, that's not out like they're not using the sound for TikTok, they're not over here. So it's like he's getting used over there as well too. I was like, but now I'm talking about from one that just grouped the whole like group of people. Like we know specifically who you are if you over here saying certain things and things like that, of being like, I turn this stuff off immediately. compared to some of the people that's like, oh, okay, I was like, nobody in my section was really dancing and vibing like that. I think they can be two separate people, even if they are of like the same complexion. But I was like, now there's some people that also went way crazy with it or whatever. And I was like, and those are the people I'm like, we're not talking about them or whatever. I seen something like content that's talking about like, oh, the music will pump or whatever like that. This is what I also will say, that I'm like, a lot. I was like Kendrick Lamar, like a lot of his songs aren't also meant to be but they're not, I was like, nah, banger's the wrong word, but I was like, some of his songs aren't meant, like they're meant for you to actually just sort of chill and just listen to. Like, you know, like I ain't about to like you ain't about to like just like bump every single, like Squabble Up, yeah, DNA, Humble, of course the Mustard song, I was like, of course the Not Like Us and stuff like that. But I was like, some of his songs are just basically where you sit there and you listen to it. And at the time I was looking at some of these videos where people aren't moving or dancing, I'm like, no, they seem like they're at a concert where you are just kind of just like listening to the artist actually doing their part of doing the song. Cause guess what? Then when it started being those songs that I named, guess what? People are a little bit more rocking. They're like, oh, Squabble Up. Oh, Squabble Up. I was like, oh, broccoli. And I was like, they're doing the stuff that you do when you're interacting with a crowd. So that's why I didn't take a lot of that. Some of the videos where they're showing like, oh, like, you know, like people don't know who Kendrick Lamar is, or I was like, first of all, if you don't know who Kendrick Lamar is, that's crazy. Because I was like, there's people I know that don't listen to Kendrick Lamar that knows who Kendrick Lamar is. I was like, I had a few people that I knew that was like, that didn't even watch the Super Bowl, but was like, oh, I watched Kendrick Lamar performance, and I was like, they don't look like me. So that's why when I said, I was like, that's why when I was seeing some of the videos or whatever, that's why I was like, I had to know, I had to see what you were talking about. Like, are you saying like, oh, people weren't really like doing anything in my area? And I was like, oh, okay, cool, I can understand that at the type of at the song that you were doing it at. Cool. Versus the ones that are just like, nobody knows who Kendrick Lamar is. Why was he been picked as a performer? Blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, now you're over here coming from a side that we ain't about to tolerate or whatever. I was like, look, was it meant for everybody? No. I was like, but but not all music is meant for everybody. I was like, everybody that's over here that's like, oh, he should have did something. I was like, and he would have done those songs, and you would have still been mad. Or you want to know those songs, which would have proved the point that I was like, hey, it's not for everybody. I was like, some of this is basically the music part where just like, hey, I was like, it's not, to me, it's not the same thing as, because I was like, if you would have had Taylor Swift up there, I was like, that wouldn't have been for everybody. Beyonce isn't necessarily for everybody, even though everybody's on board with that. Billie Eilish, anybody you want to name, I was like, it's not going to resonate with every single body. But the whole thing about, like, you know, the performance along with the artistic side is basically, if you go to a museum that is nothing but like, you know, I'm talking about like a museum where it was just like nothing but art, where like paintings and drawings and photos and stuff like that. All that, I was like, some of that stuff is going to hit some of y'all in y'all soul. Some of it, you might be able to look at it from just the way it's drawn and be like, oh, okay, I see the way that he drew it. Okay, I like the way that he used that charcoal as a medium and all this other stuff. Then some of y'all just gonna be like, why am I here? This thing boring. So I was like, that's why the people that was like, it was boring, I was like, okay, I can get that too. That I was like, especially if this ain't like up to whatever, like if you wanted different songs and stuff like that, you were just here for the music. I don't think you needed to be here necessarily for the symbolism. And if you don't get it, all of a sudden you're something. I was like, we're going to talk crap about you as well too. I was like, but there's some people that's out here being bad faith actors, and I was like, those people can sort of get out the paint, because you ain't bringing nothing to this. Then it's like, I don't like him up on my screen. Why? Cause I don't. And it's like, okay, well, you ain't. Is it the songs? No, I don't like them either. And it's like, oh, so what songs would you like? It's like, no. Why can't we just have some good old? Like, no, get out of here. Anyway, yeah. So I was like, yeah, they never heard about how I felt about it. Let me know. I was like, probably look at some other people once I sort of get around. I mean, I know I was like, it's been a couple days. Why have you got around to it or whatever? But I was like, as you seen how long this video is, I was like, people that actually know really what they talking about, that's their long videos. But anyway, let me know what y'all all think with the performance and how did you like it. Do you like his song lineup? I was like the symbolism, the things in it. How do you react to some of the people that said what? I was like, not just the people that and not like us, but the people that's also in the hip hop space, in the demographic or whatever like that too. Because I think also sometimes what we can also do is because we know that we're going to get so much hate at times from different parts of different people, and that when you like something and somebody else's doesn't, and they come with vitriol, that now you got to sort of bang into your corner and not, I don't want to say hype it up, but I was like, but now you are thinking about it in a different way that's like, where it's just like, you're like, no, it's the best because you think it sucks. Where it's just like, you could just be like, even though that person thinks it sucks, it's like, no, it was pretty good. You can still be a little bit more rational about it in some cases, but we always go to the extreme on a lot of this stuff. Anyway, I was like, until then, let it be televised. Peace. I'm out.